of Management Information System course under title E-Commerce, Digital Markets and Digital Goods. Basically, in Chapter 9, it is focusing more on the interaction of customers with seller through the platform of internet. That is what Chapter 9 is all about. And it is about transaction, purchase, and transaction that can be done through e-commerce. In this chapter, I am supposed to make you understand on what are the unique features of e-commerce, digital markets, and digital goods, those principles involved in e-commerce business and its revenue models, and how actually e-commerce has transformed our market from traditional market, brick to brick, to business or consumer to business, and explain how does e-commerce has affecting the business to business transaction, particularly in terms of commercial business operation. And last but not least, the last part of this chapter is focusing on mobile commerce, in which nowadays has been the most important factor that is strengthening e-commerce in the global business. Well, electric commerce, basically the transaction by using internet platform, so that the buyer can buy it from seller and the seller can reach the customer in order to do transaction as far as selling and purchasing. Actually, e-commerce by history significantly began at 1995, and since then it grew exponentially. And there are certain stages that it is kind of stagnant due to bubble.com recession. And one of the leading player of e-commerce platform in 1995 is basically Amazon. And again, nowadays, due to COVID-19 pandemic, I believe that e-commerce has become stronger and stronger of platform in doing transaction. Well, do you notice this guy? So this is the richest man in the world, or one of the top 3 richest men in the world, by the name of Jeff Bezos. So he is the founder of Amazon.com back in 1995. And now, due to his e-commerce platform business, so he amassed as much as 160 billion in terms of his worth by this year evaluation, year 2020. So Jeff Bezos is basically one of the earlier pioneer, and later soon followed by the other e-commerce platform like Alibaba, and the latest stage by Tencent. So these are all the 3 major global players in e-commerce nowadays around the world, and they are really making a big amount of money out of e-commerce through the internet platform. Well, you can see this diagram in your textbook, in your ebook. So here is the growth of the graph on the revenue generated by B2C, which is business to consumer. For example, if you are purchasing book from Amazon.com, so those are from business to consumer back in 1995, 1996, in which it is its infancy, and it grows quite significantly in year 2004, 2006. The growth is rather significant. And by the end of the decade of the new millennium, like 2007, 8, and 9, and slightly 2010, there were the crisis for .com companies. The bubble was bursting. So here is quite stagnant, in which most internet company are experiencing kind of decline in terms of their share value. So soon after 2010 and 11, and it shoot up again as high as steep degree angle of increase 45 degree. And even nowadays during the pandemic COVID-19, I believe year 2020, this graph is even soaring higher to the higher level. And even at this tax at 2016, it has value of about 550 US billion dollar in terms of e-commerce worth. And I believe nowadays it is year 2020, it is easily approaching perhaps 800 or 850 billion dollars, somewhere around here, due to the transaction at e-commerce platform has become skyrocketing due to the limitation of the interaction between physical customer to customer. So people tend to purchase through the internet platform, either by e-commerce platform or a mobile commerce platform. So we talk about the e-commerce and the internet. I believe some of these symbols are quite typical significance, showing the importance of e-commerce, the internet in Malaysia. Well, you talk about Boost, that is the platform for digital money payment. Grab, this is due to smartphone. Shopee, it is an online based business. And Panda Food, this is due to smartphone. So all these are main symbol in Malaysia that you could easily recognize that has significant in e-commerce and the internet as far as Malaysia e-commerce is concerned. So there are main 8 features of the internet and the web that make e-commerce so significant and so influential. The first thing is ubiquity, and then global reach, universal standard, richness, and so on, until up to social technology. So in which I will explain one by one subsequently in my slide. First, ubiquity. E-commerce and internet has become so prevalent and so famous, widely accepted due to its nature in ubiquity. What does ubiquity means? It means that as long as you have the internet access and you have the web technology, you can do the transaction of e-commerce almost everywhere, whether it is at your home, during your traveling, or during you waiting for bus, and at almost any time, either it is in the morning, late night, or even so much so early in the morning. So that is ubiquity. So the effect is that this ubiquity makes e-commerce become a very big market space. It is not only limited to Malaysia, it is overall all over the world. And ubiquity and e-commerce and internet has made the cost of doing transaction has becoming negligible, or I would say very cheap if it is not free. So imagine that cost for participating in the market, in the physical market, is very high, because you got to go to the shop, you got to drive, park, and then go into the outlet and see the product and purchase. Nowadays, you can, due to ubiquity, you can get your product at almost significantly lower price due to the e-commerce and internet platform. However, of course, internet is not without problem, without constraint, or without hindrance. So even though internet is available widely in Malaysia, as much as it is estimated 60% of Malaysian population can have access to internet, but there are still 40 more percent of the population are not having access to the internet. So what's the problem? The major problem is, of course, the accessibility due to the bandwidth reach, right? So if you want to access to internet, you can go to the fiber network or copper line or local area network, or you can go by Wi-Fi or by radio signal. So that is what constitutes of accessibility or the bandwidth. Why accessibility and bandwidth is still the problem to access internet? Well, you could say that due to the limited, at certain area, limited communication tower, and due to certain geographical reason between continental and large ocean, so we have limited internet access. So that is the only limiting obstacle that contributing to the problem of internet access. The rest, if you could have better technology to have a better accessibility, perhaps the whole world could be accessed from any part of the world as far as to access the internet. So maybe if you are in the city like this, it is very easy to get access to the internet. But if you go to a resort far there near the forest, perhaps you have a hard time to have access to the internet due to this accessibility and bandwidth. So what we could do about that to increase the accessibility and bandwidth in order to access internet? Well, what you could do. So at least nowadays there has been effort recently by the Google in which it acquires Titan Aerospace. Instead of relying on satellite to get the internet accessibility, so the number of satellites are limited. They are proposing that this solar drone to be functioning as satellite far above our sky there, so it could receive signal and also transfer back signal. So this is one effort to increase the accessibility of internet from any part of the world, any part of the city, either it is in the big city or is it in the deep in the forest or deep in the remote area. You still can access internet if we really to implement this drone technology to receive and deliver internet signal. So let's take a look what Google has done through the purchase of Titan Aerospace in an effort to increase global accessibility to the internet. So let's have a look.
Even as it experiments with self-driving cars on the ground, Google has been acquiring companies that manufacture pilotless flying vehicles, aircraft that can stay aloft for very long periods of time, such as solar-powered balloons and drones. The internet giant aims to bring web access to remote areas of the world, which it says could help speed disaster relief or monitor environmental damage. And it says atmospheric satellites could also provide high-resolution aerial images for its Google Earth service. Its newest acquisition, the 20-employee New Mexico-based company Titan Aerospace, plans to manufacture a larger version of its successful solar-powered drone Solar. Chief Technical Officer Maximus Yeni says it will be as efficient as a satellite, but much less expensive to operate, just 1/100th of the cost.
What we're focusing on from a capability perspective is being able to provide these kinds of services as an alternate or adding to satellite platform capabilities.
He says the new drone, Solara 50, will be able to fly almost 20 kilometers above the Earth, providing the internet signal in a radius of almost 420 kilometers and stay aloft for almost 5 years.
Solar powered, you have the capability of staying up there.
So you have heard from the key people at Titan Aerospace and Google that they are planning to use this solar drone as satellite to receive and transfer or deliver the internet bandwidth. So this is part of the effort to improve the accessibility of internet around the world. So as such, the internet and e-commerce platform will become more global. It has a global reach in which it will across many national boundaries all around the world as a result of this Google and Titan collaboration or the merging. So the effect is that you could have a big market space anytime, anywhere in the world due to this global reach, and you could do business, transaction, and so communication with your friends from many parts of the world. It is estimated nowadays about 40% of the world population has the ability to connect internet. but it means that there are 60% more of world population still are not accessing internet. So again, the constraint is on accessibility in order to transfer internet signal. So it means that around in year 2015, about 5 years ago, 3.2 billion people are able to access the internet. So this is a very big market. 3.2 billion of people are able to access your product if you use the internet platform. So another features that enabling the e-commerce and the internet become so famous and prevalent. So it is due to the universality of the standard. For example, the standard are all the same around many part of the world. For example, standard for sharing graphical files in JPEG, in MP4 for video. So these are all applied to many countries, many part of the world. For example, in Asia, in Europe, in US, we all use the same PDF format for graphic, MP4, and etc. for video content. So as such, if there is good universal standard, it means that it will lower the cost to enter new market. So it is easy for business people to bring their goods, whether it is physical goods or digital goods, from one market to another market. So another universality of a standard is in the form of a domain name system like World Wide Web, .uthm.edu.my. From any part of the world, you can access this very same address, not only in Malaysia. So that is the global standard that can be accessed by many people around the world with the same name. Another features of e-commerce and the internet is so prevalent nowadays is the richness. It shows the magnitude and the volume of content which is available over the internet in the form of video, audio, text message like Twitter. So nowadays it is possible to deliver these vast messages, either text, audio, or video, synchronously to many people at almost at the same time. So in medium platform like YouTube or Netflix, you can see there are vast amount of content in order for sharing by many people. Among the other features of e-commerce and the internet that make it so globally influencing, interactivity, in which it promotes the interaction between user, seller. So in the form of like pricing, you could compare prices from different kind of hotel at platform like Traveloka, Trivago, and Booking.com. You could compare almost the same hotel, check their prices, and make comparison. So this is a good interactivity between vendors for the same value of service. Information density is again another factor that contribute e-commerce and the internet are so popular, because the information is so large. You can, in fact, have the market participants all around the world. Due to that, you could compare costs between services. You could compare price between, I would say, products, and it is enabling merchant, business people, and also consumer to compare price very easily. For example, book sold at Amazon and Lazada, you could compare easily. So it is enabling people to make a better and more efficient decision. Another factor is due to personalization or customization, so that people like to go to website in which that they could tailor set their I would say purchase or website based on their own wish. For example, like Amazon, you can set your own account with your own picture, and from there it attracts people to come to this kind of website due to personalization and customization features. Another features that enable e-commerce and internet so influential is the social technology, in which social technology push for users to generate their own content and contribute their content towards the central server. So of course we would like to have our own unique content instead of our content look all the same with other websites. So this approach, which is promoting user content generation, making social technology more acceptable, more larger audience to embrace and use. For example, at Facebook, you could customize your own web page. Instagram and YouTube, you can create your own account, customize it, and upload your own content to be shared to the rest of the world. What are the effects of the internet at the marketplace? Well, there are many effects that you could yourself observe and feel. For example, lower down the cost. In the internet, in order for you to show many products at the website, it is very easy because you can just upload your product and show to the potential customer. However, if you compare with the brick market, in which you have to display it in the rack, or you have to display it in the display board, and it will cost you much more in comparison to showing or displaying your product on the website, because the costs are very low per unit cost in comparison to normal shop. So, for example, in the internet and market space, because you could compare between product and pricing, so you could see more disintermediation, which is a lesser middle parties or middle men that normally it contributes to the increase of cost. For example, if you want to purchase this kind of computer backpack, you could easily purchase it over the internet and compare to this very same bag with the outlet. So I think price, I think you can significantly find easily 10 to 20% lower cost in order for you to purchase it based on the internet platform. So those are the effect of internet in the marketplace. Basically, it reduces the cost to customer or to buyers. Here is a comparison of pricing between the manufacturer to a distributor and retailer for example, a sweater. Say you want to buy this Adidas sweater from the three available channel, from manufacturer, distributor, retailer, and manufacturer or straight to retailer like Al Ihsan Sport, or you want to buy the same sweater from the manufacturer, from the factory, straight to customer through Adidas website. So if you buy from manufacturer, distributor, retailer to customer, like from Giant, perhaps this sweater Adidas costs you $48.50. That is around 200 ringgit Malaysia. But if you purchase it through manufacturer to retailer, which is Al Ihsan, perhaps it will cost you around $40.34. So this is roughly 160 ringgit Malaysia. So significantly reduced from 200 to 160, reduction of 40 ringgit Malaysia basically. However, if you purchase straight from manufacturer, from the factory via Adidas outlet, and you are purchasing here at perhaps the cost of $20.45. So this is basically about 80 ringgit, so less than 100 ringgit Malaysia. So as comparison, from around 200 ringgit up to about 100 ringgit. So that is a significant price difference in comparison from buying from Giant and compared to Al Ihsan, and also buying direct from Adidas outlet. So those are this intermediation that internet has contributed and enable for customer to buy the same value product at a very much lower price. Nowadays, many goods can be bought and sold digitally in the form of video, products or software. For example, you are purchasing Microsoft software 365 Microsoft Office package. You could simply just download it from their server and make the purchase digitally over the internet, charging your credit card or your debit card, for example. So digital goods sold at the digital platform, normally the cost of delivery is very low because it doesn't incur much physical goods transfer. So you just can buy the digital product over the internet, and the cost is normally very much lower compared to the conventional method. As such, the industry of digital goods are actually experiencing revolutionary changes as far as publisher of books, producer of records. So they are experiencing very significant change as far as their business model. In e-commerce and business technology, there are three major types of e-commerce. For example, business to consumer, B2C, for example, as shown by Amazon.com, in which Amazon is the business and you buy books from Amazon, then you are the consumer. And business to business, for example, this is basically one company to another company, one company supplying product to another company for their manufacturing, for example, or even consumer to consumer, like one consumer want to sell their used goods to other consumer, like by platform mudah.com. And these are the major three types of e-commerce nowadays widely accepted. Particularly, you can see in Malaysia. So another category that is newly upcoming and becoming very strong is called mobile commerce, which is m-commerce, in which in more detail I will explain at the later end of my chapter in this lecture. E-business model. So in the form of e-tailer, content provider, portal, service provider, there are many models that business could emulate in order to execute their business. It could be from B2B or C2C or B2C approach. So all can be done with on this e-commerce business model. And e-commerce also could generate revenue, or it can generate income through advertising, sales of product, or it could be by subscription, perhaps monthly or yearly, due to transaction fee or through affiliation. For example, e-commerce revenue model that could generate income is Google AdSense, or you could pay by commission by selling the product through mudah.com. These are part of the revenue generating model that business can emulate. Well, social networking and wisdom of crowd. Well, people say two is better than one, and of course, three is better than one. So this is the wisdom of crowdsourcing, because the more people see the service or the product, the more feedback they can give to the supplier or to the host. So people can see this like from Facebook, those that make product viral. So those are part of the wisdom of the crowd and crowdsourcing. So LinkedIn also another platform that enable people to see your professional credential, and if you are applying job, so many companies can see your credentials. So that is also part of wisdom of the crowd, which is the more people see your resume, and the more people will strongly recommend you for the jobs. E-commerce marketing, it could be in the form of long tail marketing, in which it enables you to reach a big audience at a very low price. So if you serve the internet, remember that the internet is able also to trace your behavior of purchase. So perhaps what sort of product that you are always looking for, be it like shoes, or be it like electronic gadgets, or be it like food. So that is also enable the internet to detect your preferences of purchase. Basically, advertising work in the internet works this way. So this is your merchant site. You consumer interact with merchant site, for example, like Amazon.com, and later a merchant will connect to their advertising network, and later they create your user profile database. And this advertising network will contact some of other member suppliers vendor, and this vendor will feedback to advertising network, and this advertising will advertise you with the tendency of you when you search internet, what is your preferences. So this is how the advertising network mechanism works. Well, other thing is that social media, like Facebook, they emphasize on the number of like buttons that people thumbs up. So these are part of the social networking approach, in which whether the topic that you are advertising receiving good response or not. So these are part of how internet detect your preferences. B2B commerce is well known that it is established much earlier compared to B2C, like back in 2012 itself. This is about 8 years ago. US reported that it is worth of 4.1 trillion. I believe it is very much bigger than that. Perhaps it was already reached around 800 trillion nowadays, as far as B2B commerce is concerned. Electronic data interchange is basically keeping a closed system between the firm, like the company, like Siemens, with their supplier. So it is kind of a closed system in order for Siemens to make transaction purchase from their supplier, and the supplier give the shipment data, and later Siemens make the payment to supplier. And EDI is basically a closed system within normally big companies that are doing business with their supplier. And it is called also PIN, Private Industrial Network, Private Exchange Network, normally among big conglomerate like Volkswagen. Volkswagen is the big sister company, and these are all their companies that within the network of Volkswagen, and they are keeping the PIN, private industrial network within Volkswagen in terms of doing business. In other words, it is a system that works for particular network, especially the big business. For example, like recently, Proton is teaming up with Geely, and Geely has also acquired Volvo. So this is a big industrial network for automobile, in such a way that some of the parts that Proton are using could be shared with Geely, and some of the parts that Volvo is using can be shared with Geely also. So this is like a sharing platform. In such way, it is enabled that for the cost of the final product can be reduced by having this business industrial network. Equally big like restaurant NSM in Malaysia, they are big group, so that when they are big group, they can make big purchase, and per unit cost will become lower. That's why they can have they are able to offer good price for customer as far as their product is concerned. So that is how a big industrial network works together, so that they can make a bulk purchase, and each unit becomes significantly lower price. Again, this is PIN, Private Industrial Network, as I explained earlier. Siemens is here. These are their supplier. These are their another supplier. This perhaps their customer. So this is basically supplying. All these are supplying to Siemens, and Siemens are supplying to their downstream distributor, retailer. So these are a very big private industrial network. That's why they can run e-commerce with a significantly lower cost. Exhausta is another network marketplace in which supplier supply their product into this digital marketplace as far as their product line, catalog, sourcing, pricing, and the buyer, or the buyer, either a personal buyer or industrial buyer, go to net marketplace in order to see the catalog, the pricing, the purchasing, and so on. And this is another example of a network marketplace. It is enabling the supplier to easily meet the buyer by a single platform, for example, ExoStar. Last but not least, this chapter covers on mobile commerce. Well, I would say mobile commerce has become so much popular nowadays in year 2020 due to many reasons. For one reason is that you can see these symbols are all very familiar to you. These are due to mobile commerce platform, due to smartphones, right? Smartphone enable people to get their transportation easily. Smartphone also enable people to buy their food very fast. And smartphone also enable people to do shop online for their needs and can be delivered to them in a very short time. So these are basically mobile in the palm of your hand. These are the growth of mobile commerce around the world back 10 years ago, 2010. And you see this also experiencing a very significant increase as far as 45-degree angle is concerned growth. Now is 2020. I believe this is easily reaching by year 2020 already 200 billion. And nowadays some more smartphone has become more prevalent due to COVID-19 because tendency to purchase from online has been skyrocketing. So I believe mobile commerce will become a much stronger platform soon in future. Mobile platform also enable few other services. For example, location-based service. Location-based service means that people are using the service due to location. For example, Waze. When you travel, you are referring to this navigation system. So actually, you are based on geoscience service, geosocial services, where to find friends, where to find location. So when you try to find two locations, so meantime they advertise you with relevant services, for example, fast food, for example, petrol for your car. So these are enabling m-commerce to become stronger due to your location. So I think in order for e-commerce to perform well, you need to somehow build the website and hosting the website. So if you want to host the website, so these are part of the budget as far as hosting the website is concerned. So website is the component that enable e-commerce to function. So if you are hosting a website, the cost is basically 30% is from designing the website. Normally, companies outsource the design of the website to particular IT company, for example, like Exabytes. So they design the website for particular company. So the cost is about 30% of the overall cost. And content development like cataloging, pricing, uploading product line and so on, telecommunication for bandwidth, hardware like server, and some costs on marketing. So the overall, the bigger part is the design of the website that mostly company outsource to other company to do the job. Okay, by that, I would like to wrap up this chapter on e-commerce, digital market, and digital goods. I think this has been around 30 or 35 minutes. So I thank you for your attention in following my lecture through this chapter 10. Thank you again.